What up? And welcome to another episode of From the Script to the Screen. The Jujutsu Kaisen edition, episode 7 of season 2 is out now, covering chapters 80 to 83 of volume 10. And as always, gotta shout out the creator, Gege Akutami, and want to give a shout out to the studio, Mappa. Appreciate them for coming together to give us this great piece of work. We appreciate them. And with that being said, want to get right into the episode. Loved it this week. I love their portrayal of the battle between Mekimaru and Mahito. We got the conclusion of that fight this week, and what I loved about it is that like I said in earlier videos, this season we get introduced to a lot of new rules and techniques of the jiu-jitsu world. And if you remember from last season, Nanami had mentioned how he was lucky that when he fought Mahito, he was young at the time and was really still learning about himself and learning about, again, the jiu-jitsu world and curse energy, curse techniques. And so in this battle with Mekimaru, you see how, again, we know that Mahito can manipulate the soul. And so he's able to manipulate his own body into damn near anything he thinks of. And like I said, shout out to Mappa because they extended the battle. And so I thought the scene with Mahito turning into a bunch of different creatures running away from Mekimaru in the forest was pretty dope. One thing I enjoy seeing this week. And it made the battle seem more grand scale. So it was a fun episode. Loved the music this week as always. Big music fan, so I gotta shout out the composers as well. And I do want to talk a little bit about Mahito and Mekimaru. I do forget to say it sometimes, but disclaimer, gonna talk about the episode, so you might be spoiled. Hopefully you finish watching it. But Mekimaru, as we came to know, worked with Geto and Mahito so that they could restore his body. We know that due to his restrictions, he was confined to this bathtub, didn't have no human interaction with his classmates and just people in general. And so he worked with them. But I honestly don't think he made the best decision because, number one, I feel like he could have warned his classmates or his teachers at any time because he does manipulate puppets and his technique is extensive. So I feel like it could have been easy for him to leave some type of warning. But of course, this is a story. But it's just something I thought about. But we know that this was his motivating factor of him wanting to join up with his classmates. Like his conversation with his classmate Miwa, we see how she also mentions that she felt like the classmates had become closer after they spent some time together. In the last season, we know that they had some joint operations with our main students, so they feel like they're building some type of bond. And another thing that I've mentioned before, something that Nanami has talked about, is just the pressure that jiu-jitsu sorcerers face on the daily, and the fact that having ties and just feeling strongly about something in general could come back to haunt them. So they know that they do keep boundaries for certain reasons. Like Miwa says, they might take it harder when they lose some of their classmates. And so in the grand scheme of things, even though it's sad to say, it is true if you think about it. But I say that about Mekimaru is because in the conclusion of the battle, we see that he wasn't able to win, and now the cursed spirits have what they need. And to get into Mahito, like I mentioned earlier, we see just how advanced he's become. Another thing I enjoy seeing this week. Of course, Mekimaru is not an advanced sorcerer himself, but he was able to fool him. He made it appear like he was defeated at the perfect time. And like I said, since he's able to manipulate himself into anything, fools Mekimaru, makes him drop his domain since he thought that he finished off Mahito, and Mahito in turn ends up finishing him. I saw a lot of people talking about how they paid homage to some previous mecha anime, so I'm pretty sure that a couple people enjoyed that. Again, shout out to Mappa. Pretty unfortunate, but another thing that I did want to get into is the talk of these domain expansions. And so the reason why Mekimaru was able to break out is because him using a simple domain damn near guarantees him at least one shot to be able to do damage. If you're able to pull off a simple domain, you being the last one to cast a domain, you should be able to get a hit and hopefully take care of your enemy. And so it was pretty cool for Mekimaru to think of it at the time, but again, not necessarily underestimating Mahito, but just ended up going up against somebody a little bit more clever. And like I said, Mahito's learning on the fly. Shifting the focus to the second half of the episode, not much to say. We know that this is something that the Cursed Spirits have been talking about. They've been planning for this night, Halloween. They're in Shibuya. You've seen the Shibuya Incident mentioned everywhere. This is the start of the arc. Love the way that they introduced it. Very eerie feeling. All we know for now is that they were able to cast a veil, I know some people might say veil, that again was keeping civilians inside this domain. They weren't able to get out until Gojo arrives, and so everybody's standing on the outside just basically waiting for orders and assuming are gonna just have to play cleanup for Gojo, and that's where we're at. Looking forward to next week, man. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Let me know about what y'all think is coming next week, and we out. Peace.